Hi everyone, this is Richard and welcome to another edition of Sidewalks Entertainment. Host Lori Rosales has a Zoom interview with a rising actress who's getting major notice on the Peacock series Hysteria.
Hi, thank you so much for tuning in to Sidewalks Entertainment. I'm your host, Lori Rosales. So today's guest, she is so fantastic and incredibly talented. You may have seen her at the very young age of 9 in shows like CSI and Criminal Minds. And then later, you may have also seen her in shows like Sharp Objects, Good Girls, and Roswell, Mexico. She also plays Judith in the show Hysteria. Jessica Treska will be joining us right here on Sidewalks Entertainment. So do not change that channel because you are watching Sidewalks Entertainment. Hi, thank you so much for tuning in to Sidewalks Entertainment. I'm your host, Lori Rosales. So today's guest is an incredibly talented actor who has been in shows like CSI, Criminal Minds, Sharp Objects, Good Girls, Roswell, Mexico, and she also played Judith in the show Hysteria. I'd like to welcome Jessica Treska to Sidewalks Entertainment. Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So I read that you got into acting at the age of 9. What inspired you to go into acting, and what do you remember was the hardest part about booking jobs and acting at that age?
Yeah, so I did get into it at 9 years old. I was actually shopping for my 10th birthday at a mall near my house when I got scouted. Honestly, it wasn't really on my radar. It wasn't something that I had always wanted to do, like a lot of kids grow up feeling. But I did love the stage. I grew up playing piano and instruments and doing drama classes. And yeah, I kind of fell into it by accident, got scouted, started at this, acting school, in my hometown and ended up getting an agent and manager. I'd say the hardest part is definitely just the amount of rejection that you get early on, any actor, or not even early on, just throughout your entire career, it's tough. You maybe get one audition for every 50 that you do. So, that ratio is definitely hard to get used to, but it makes it, that much more worth it when you do finally book a project and you can appreciate it much more.
So you were scouted randomly when you were shopping? What happened? Tell me the story of that.
Yeah, so I was with both of my parents. They were rightfully skeptical when some random stranger came up to me and said, "You'd be great as an actor. Have you ever considered it?" And I was super excited. They walked away and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we have to do this. Like, this is so cool. Like, this sounds incredible." I had never really thought of it. Like I said before, it wasn't something that I had grown up wanting to do. But as soon as it came to me, I was like, we have to at least go check it out, see what this is all about. And they were rightfully skeptical, but something let them say yes. And I went with my mom to this acting school, and I had to do this little audition to get into this school. Got in, did classes for about a year, and then there was a showcase to find agents and managers. So I did that and ended up having some meetings and signed.
Very, very, very cool. So what advice could you give to other young actors on how to push through, the challenges?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what helped me was listening to successful actors' stories because, they all kind of sound the same. I was working for years and wasn't booking anything, and I was, working at a restaurant, whatever. I mean, everyone kind of starts out the same. Like, just because you have this experience and you're not booking and you try and you try for years and whatever, and it hasn't come to you yet, it doesn't mean it's not going to come because everyone starts out that way, and I think listening to all of these actors that I look up to, I mean, everyone's gone through the same thing. I think that made me feel more comfortable with it.
So some of your first roles were in big shows like CSI and Criminal Minds. How did you get those auditions for these projects, and what was your experience like working on these shows?
Yeah, so I mean the experience was pretty typical. I guess I would receive an audition request from my agent or manager and at the time these were all in person. Now they're pretty much all virtual. You get an audition and you send in a take that you film yourself, but back in the day, you would actually go in person. So yeah, I would drive up to LA. I'm from Orange County, so my mom would drive me up to LA, 3 times a week or so to go to these auditions. CSI, Criminal Minds, some of the earliest projects I did, auditions came through, I went, and guess it went well. Received a call, but it's funny, a lot of actors will either kind of grow up on the Disney or, more fun side of things, and then other child actors will grow up on more of the, crime shows and being the victims in those sort of shows, these dramatic TV shows, and I was definitely on that side of things, which was really fun, I think. I feel like I matured a lot quicker. I was on set with adults and doing all of these intense scenes from a really early age, and yeah, that's kind of what I fell into.
So you've also had recurring roles in Sharp Objects, Good Girls, personal favorite Roswell, Mexico.
Ah, yes.
So of those shows, which holds the most fond memories for you?
Oh, I'm gonna have to say Good Girls. I still think it's probably the show that I get the most recognized for and the most, appreciation for. Lots of people love that show, rightfully so. It's an incredible show. I ended up watching all 4 or 5 seasons or whatever it was, before and after my episodes because it's just such a fun show. But yeah, filming that was incredible. The girl who plays my little sister in it, who I got to do a lot of my scenes with, she's great. Everyone on that show was a great project.
So as an actor, which emotions do you enjoy expressing most? And with crying scenes, is it easy for you to cry on cue or tell me about that?
Yeah. Let me think. The emotion that I like the most, surprisingly, I think anger is probably the easiest. And I've heard actors say that before. I actually think it's a lot harder when you're trying to be kind of calm and collected, but there's a lot more brewing underneath the surface. That's definitely the most challenging to portray. It's when you're portraying something which is not actually the way you feel. With anger, I feel like you're portraying exactly how you feel and you're finally letting it out. It's those moments when you're holding it together or you're happy, but you're not really, and there's more underneath the surface. That's definitely the hardest. Um, yeah, and then in terms of crying, that's obviously really tough too. I feel like I've gone through different phases of that. Sometimes it's easier for me, sometimes it's harder for me. But I found, honestly, the best way to do it is just to really believe that you're in the same situation that you're in. Some actors will think about sad things in their personal lives and then try to bring that into a scene, but that's never worked for me because when you're speaking dialogue that doesn't resonate with the sad thoughts that you're thinking, it pulls you out of the scene for me. So I'd really, take a moment before every emotional scene that I do and really try to believe that I am in that exact situation and try to, respond exactly how as I would.
Wow. Okay, so you are Judith in the Peacock series Hysteria.
Mhm.
What's been your experience like working on Hysteria so far? And what do you enjoy most about playing the role of Judith?
I mean, the experience was incredible. It was my dream role, my dream project, my dream cast to work with. It was an absolute blast. My favorite part about Judith is that she's someone, completely different than anything I've ever played before. She has a lot of what I talked about having a lot more brewing underneath the surface. She has that all the time. She presents one way, but she actually feels a different way, or there's, this much darker side to her that doesn't immediately present itself up front. And so that was really fun to play around with because it was really tricky, and I had the perfect amount of, my own agency and trying to figure out how to bring that to life, but also some great inspiration from Matt, our showrunner. So, I mean, everything on this show just was so incredible. It was a perfect experience.
So, Julie Bowen, Anna Camp, Bruce Campbell have also been on our show. So it's really such a treat to also be able to welcome you to our show as well. So,
Yeah.
what are Julie, Anna, and Bruce like to work with?
They are an absolute blast. I cannot say that enough. They are all hilarious. It's funny because we all got along so perfectly and their humor, all of them just meshes so well. I didn't have that many scenes with Julie or Anna. I definitely had some with Bruce. But even if we weren't filming together, we were always on set together. They were always doing things, multiple things at once, filming different parts of the show in the same day. And so we were always there together in the green rooms and whatnot. And they're just absolutely hilarious. Filming the funeral scene, that's probably the one time we were all in the same, room together for days. Those scenes took a really long time to film. And that was just hilarious. I mean, a lot of the time I was trying not to laugh on camera just because of something Bruce had said right before we started filming. They're just hilarious.
Too. When we had him on this show, I was like, keep it together. In my mind, I was
It's so funny. It's so funny in ways you don't expect it. It's so great.
Yeah. So when you were working on some Hysteria, what were some things that you liked to do during your breaks, like when you did have breaks in between scenes?
I think this is so funny. I think the number one thing we would do is go to get a snack. Like as soon as the cameras yell cut, all of us, Kiara, Nikki, Ali, and all of the kids at least, we would all go right to the crafty truck or the crafty tables and get some snacks. That was definitely our favorite thing to do. It was my favorite thing to do. I'm a huge foodie. If there's food around, I'm getting it. And we always had the best food on set. We would have donuts or pizza, or there was always something going on. So that's where I would go.
I am so jelly. I'm the same exact way. I'm always snacking, so I probably would do the same thing.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people who watch our show, including cast agents. So if you knew that they were like watching right now, what type of projects would you love to do in the future that you would love to get casted for?
Well, definitely something complex. I think, portraying Judith was really eye-opening for me because it was by far the most complex character I've ever played. And I loved bringing that to life. That's what makes acting so fun for me, is that challenge. So I think something very complex, maybe something, very unlike myself in that way as well. But also something super fun, like action, stunts, that stuff really excites me. I've never done too much of that before, and I've always wanted to.
So earlier you were saying that anger was an emotion that you enjoyed playing. So if you were able to choose between playing a protagonist or the antagonist, would it be the antagonist?
Definitely the antagonist. For sure. Yeah. Playing Judith, I mean, that solidified my answer. Definitely. It is so fun. It is so much more fun. And like I said, you're playing something completely unlike yourself. And, there's a lot to be said about that as well. It's just a blast.
Jessica, it really was such a pleasure speaking with you. I really hope that you come back on our show again because I had such a great time talking to you.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. So everyone, you can watch Jessica Treska in the series Hysteria on Peacock.
All right. Thank you, Lori and Jessica. Jessica is definitely going to have a big acting career ahead of her. For more full-length celebrity interviews, visit sidewalkstv.com.